and hit the recording and we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody to this webinar hosted by the Austin Technology Council. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Tom and I work at the Austin Technology Council. ATC is a 30-year-old organization that was founded to help put technology on the map as a leading economic driver for the city of Austin and the surrounding areas. And our purpose is to help the growth of the tech companies in this area. And today we have a great webinar for you, whether you're joining us live in person, or if you're watching the replay of this on video. We are going to talk about build it or buy it and outsourcing to Poland and Central Eastern European, other Central Eastern European countries. Now, a couple things about the ATC. We've got some great events coming up, so I would like you to go to austintechnologycouncil.org and check that out. Our next big event is our CEO Summit. This is the biggest event that we have of the year. It's for CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, all the senior leadership of teams in Central Texas get together and hear about important topics that matter to the companies here, as well as having discussions about, issues that face tech companies as we grow into the next 3 decades. So make sure that your CEO, CTO, CFO, et cetera, have signed up for the October 17th CEO Summit. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Barnhart, who is going to run today's webinar. And Tom is actually one of the only other people I know who spells Tom T-H-O-M. What are the odds? What are the odds, Tom, that we would have 2 people on a webinar like this?
Yeah, about 0. We had it before. It was cool to have it. Now it's getting to be more fashionable.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. You've got it. So I'm going to turn the show over to you to be able to run the panel discussion and any questions that we have. And then at the end, I'll come back and say thank you to everybody. Tom, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks. So I'm originally from North Carolina, Virginia, and went to school, University of Virginia, but I've been living in Central Europe and Poland and Hungary for more or less the last 25 years. So I know the area pretty well. So I'm kind of looking at it from both the American perspective, but also from the Central European perspective. We run an annual event called the CEE Business Services Awards in March in Poland, which is a big 2-day conference and awards gala for the whole region's top leaders and the shared service centers across the region. And that's part of our European Business Services Association. We also have a directory of all the shared service centers in the region. And there are lots of them, lots of American companies also from the region. I'm going to introduce Shimon and Judith in a second, but last thing I'll say is that this event is targeted for CIOs, CTOs, CFOs of US companies, Texas companies, who might be usually mid-sized companies, who might be exploring the idea of trying to find more labor and more talent on the IT technology side, but also on the F&A side to alleviate some of the pressure. Price pressure in their other markets, but also just to find some talent that they can't otherwise find. There are a lot of big US companies already in Central Europe and in Poland. The big guys like 3M, of course, but also there's State Street, there's Goldman Sachs, Citi, Cisco, Moderna is big, Philip Morris is big. But then there are also a lot of small and medium-sized companies that would be, let's say, Russell 5000 size, more people like Alcon or Marsh or Point72 or Coty. And today's discussion is going to be, as we phrased it, build it or buy it, the 2 strategies of whether to really jump in and invest lots of money in building your own captive shared service center, which is what 3M has done, or would you instead take a more tentative and careful approach and not invest so much, but begin to hire talent. And that's where we will discuss that with Szymon Stadnik, who runs a BPO center in Warsaw. So let me just go through, first of all, and have Judith do a 1-minute intro, and Szymon also 1 minute. Then I'm going to come back to Judith with some questions.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Tom. So my name is Judith Garcia Galeana. I am the Senior Vice President for the Global Service Centers in 3M. We have 3, one in Poland, where I am sitting today by coincidence, another one in Manila, another one in Costa Rica.
Okay, Szymon.
Hi, my name is Szymon Stadnik. I'm CEO of Itelence, an outsourcing company specializing in creating IT teams here in Poland. I'm also a co-founder of Frista, a Swiss BPO, which serves mainly Swiss clients. And it's a pleasure to be right now with you and share my experience about the benefits of moving some processes to Poland.
And let me just say this, we're on a webinar, which is the most boring thing on earth. Everyone knows it. So let's try to make it as interesting as possible. So if anyone in the audience has questions or something, bring it up, talk about it. We don't want it to be so boring that no one wants to listen to it, right? So let's jump in. First of all, you did 3M, huge shared service center in Wrocław. Tell us very quickly about the history of it, how you got started. What are the processes that you have running there? And then I want to hear about what the future prospects are as well.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Tom. So in 3M, we started the service centers 7 years ago, end of 2015. It was a corporate decision to create these 3 centers serving Asia, EMEA, and the Americas. And the whole idea initially was to take out all the transactional activities from the operations that we have in all the subsidiaries around the world and put them in these 3 locations, low-cost locations. We started like that. It was working so well that really our credibility grew us much more than what we are expecting. And we are at a moment now where we have more than 5,000 people in the 3, of which 2,000 are in Poland, in Wrocław. And we are doing all the financials for the company, sourcing, IT, HR, design operation, customer operations, taxes, you name it. So we grew from initially like 10 services to more than 200 services that we are doing now. Again, from Poland, we are serving all EMEA and a few things also for the US we do from here.
Let me jump straight in and ask you.
We continue to grow, absolutely, and we are expecting in the next years to continue to grow and move more services into the operations here.
Let me go straight for the jugular, so they say. What was the amount of money that 3M has invested initially in the project? And then can you tell us about the cost savings? I mean, let's talk about talent later, but let's talk about money first. I mean, could you put a name, a figure on the kind of savings you look at on an annual basis?
But you can, you don't put a figure, but you can imagine everywhere. So we invested in the facilities, obviously, to have a building and a very nice building, very representative in the center of the city in Wrocław, where we have these 3 floors holding these 2,000 people. And then really the investment is in people. The average cost, and that I will be transparent of that, the average cost of a person here, and is very talented person, is around $30,000, right? That's the direct cost of a person here. In terms of
what do you define that same person in the US?
At the same level, 3 times more.
Wow.
3 times more, at least, yeah. I mean, it will be different depending on the levels, right? But on average, 3 times more. So again, when we move services to here from other countries in Europe mainly, what we look first is at the labor arbitrage, obviously very clear. If we move jobs from Germany or from the UK, obviously it's a big savings, start from the beginning, big savings. But then for us is when we have the process established and stabilized in the service center, then we work on the continuous improvement, automation. So the additional value is the productivity we bring. So we are measured every year by what we call value creation, which is the labor arbitrage plus the productivity that we have provided in the year.
Okay, we're going to come back to Judith, but let's talk a bit more about Szymon. So Szymon, you are kind of the opposite side of the spectrum, whereas 3M is the captive and the big investments, 2 feet jumping in. You're the guy who would say, if you don't want to invest, whatever, I'm going to make up a number, $20 million, right or wrong, Judith. You go to Szymon, and he is running a BPO operation, outsourcing operation in Warsaw. Tell us a bit more about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. So I also maybe share my personal story about the experience of moving processes to Poland, and this is actually the fundament for what we're doing right now. And this is that I started my career with outsourcing from the position of head of shared service center for a Swiss company, where many years ago I was moving processes from Switzerland and from all around Europe to Poland, centralize those processes, and we were supporting from Poland all the subsidiaries around the world. And actually, we used the step-by-step approach. So we just moved the processes one after another, and we started to build this operations from scratch. And actually, based on this experience, which was a great success, so all the subsidiaries around Europe were really happy with the service from Poland, and we were able to find a necessary talent. We thought, why not to share this benefit of our experience and also Polish market to another companies. And that's why, this was the idea to set up BPO operations based on this experience of setting up a shared service center. So in both Freestyle and Itelence, we want to mimic a little bit shared service center approach, so that to build teams based on the piece of which is set by our clients. But on the other hand, to give the opportunity to explore the Polish market and to give the access to the Polish market to the organizations which do not have operations in Poland yet. So of course, we cooperate with smaller organizations than 3M, and we have a little bit different approach, and we target a little bit different corporations which want to start slow, in smaller scale, with less risk, do not know a Polish market yet, and we offer them to be a guide for them here in Poland, and to guide them through the outsourcing model and also labor market of Poland. So currently we're serving medium-sized but also quite large corporations. One of the biggest insurance companies in US. Just an example, in IT, cloud, Salesforce, software development, but some other Swiss clients in back office, finance and accounting, customer service as well.
And let's talk about IT tech for a moment. Judith, how much of your business, or how much of your captive shared service center in Poland is IT tech related or heavily related to IT tech? How much is on F&A or operations?
18% of our headcount here is IT application, IT operations. So 18%, what we found in Poland is great talent, really super talent for IT technology for sure, but also for all the other streams that we're doing, right? Finance or sourcing or whatever. I'm sure, Simon, the talent is here. And then what we also found is super English knowledge from the people. Really, the level of English is great. And then all the other languages that we need also for the countries in Europe where we are supporting. We are doing 100% of HR support for the whole company, for the 100 subsidiaries of 3M. All the HR support is being done from here, right? So I mean, the capabilities on language is really a big plus. But on IT, yes, we found everything we wanted. We continue to find everything we want. The market, I must recognize, is really very hot on technology, on IT, and salaries are going up. So it's really a very competitive market. That's true. But the talent is absolutely there.
Well, one of the things while the prices are going up, I can say that for everywhere in the world, right? The currency versus the USD is about 20% lower from a year ago. Is that something that 3M HQ is aware of, obviously, but is it something that makes it more appealing even from before?
Not really. Of course, it's obviously more savings, right? But for us, what we were looking at was a cost-competitive location with talent, where we could develop that talent and really keep and retain the talent and have them careers. So for us, the decision to come to Poland was no-brainer. When we were looking at Asia and the Americas, we had a few choices, and at the end we compared many things. In Europe, it was Poland from the very beginning. We have one of our largest plants in Europe here, also in Wrocław, and we have a subsidiary in Warsaw. But it was really from the beginning a low cost and very high talent. So goes up or down a little bit because of exchange, right? And so on, that doesn't make any difference. We continue to invest here. Yeah.
And Simon, from your perspective, you're seeing, your US clients and Swiss clients what is their perception of talent and costs and that kind of stuff?
So exactly, but I think the experience is quite similar to what Judith said. So a majority of the clients, first they look at the talent pool available here in Poland, and what Poland is right now an alternative to fund some of the talent and fulfill the vacancies which are not fulfilled in US or in Switzerland. So this is really big competitive advantage, that in Poland you can find the talent and specialists within the budget which you had reserved before, and it's not possible to find those specialists within the old budget back home. So that's number one reason why the companies are moving to Poland. Of course, the cost advantage is there. Judith said that the salaries in Poland, average salary in Poland is a fraction of average salary in US. And also the total employment costs are much lower. So there are joint benefits of having really large talent pool of graduates and specialists and people with the experience working on international projects, also on American projects. Absolutely. For American companies, with the technologies which are really rare, and they are available as they not so much available in US, and you can find those specialists in Poland. And then there is a cost advantage which plays the role. So I would say it's a mix, and the reasons for our clients to go with us to Poland is this mixed reasons. So it's not only one, it's not only the cost advantage.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. We don't hear you, Tom.
Yeah, got it. So give us some examples of those IT, you said specialist positions. Be very precise. What type of jobs are you talking about?
Okay, so actually Poland is quite a large market for cloud engineers right now, like really looking at the latest technologies. You can find cloud engineers, DevOps here in Poland. Actually, Google opened a huge development center here in Poland. Microsoft is doing the same. So you have a large talent pool of cloud developers. Software development in Poland is huge. You have big data specialists, and actually, so you have all sorts of consultants,
IT security is another thing that is very much in demand now, and you find the talent here too.
Exactly, and on top, there is also Poland becomes one of the major markets with the quite large talent pool for artificial intelligence, for machine learning. Actually, but one of quite interesting fact is that Poland produces, or Polish universities produces, one of the largest number of graduates in artificial intelligence right now in the whole Europe. So you have quite a lot of people with really advanced IT skills. Plus, you have also graduates with who are right now moving into deep tech and etc. And just to give you an example how advanced the teams are here in Poland and what they can do is just an example of our cooperation with this big insurance group here in Poland. Right now, we were asked to create a team for Salesforce Marketing Cloud development. And actually, it was not possible. So our client was not able to create such a team in US because of lack of talent. So we created this team here in Poland, and we also hired the Salesforce Marketing Cloud architect, who is actually from Poland, managing the whole Salesforce Marketing Cloud agenda for US and globally for the whole world. And this is done from Poland, of course, with close cooperation with the colleagues and management from US. So yeah, that's whenever technology you can, you will focus on, you will find the talent here.
When we were discussing this concept of this webinar with Rachel from the Austin Technology Council, I talked about this concept of kombynowac, which I think is kind of fun to talk about once again. She might find it kind of ridiculous that I talk about it, but I think it's really true. And this is the idea, and Judith can speak to this too, that the resources, if it's resource rich, the chances of Poland IT tech people being able to solve a problem are even more difficult. The best would be give them less and let them find the solution to the problem. So I think it's really a cultural thing from Central and Eastern Europe, which went through communism and didn't have all the resources at its disposal. And so they had to find solutions. They had to find solutions without the resources. And that continues to this day in the way people solve problems. And I can juxtapose that with some other parts of the world, which I won't say which ones, which are much more rule followers and much more rote, will do what you say to do, but won't tell you how you should do it differently. And one of the advantages I think we see in Poland is that they will speak up. They'll say, that's the wrong way to do it. Please, let's not do it this way. Let's suggest this way. Right, Judith?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the programs we have in the company, we have it the week of the hackathon, that as we call it, we've been running that for several years. And what we do is that the different businesses or the different subsidiaries, they put up some issues or some potential problems for improvement through automation, right? And then they put it in for the whole company, right? To do whoever they want, people create teams, and they try to solve these problems. And at the end, they are presented. There is a jury, and we will have prize. So guess what? The teams here in the service center, in the IT, in Wrocław, they are always winning. It's always winning. It's like it's coming up in 2 weeks, and we will see that they will win again. So yeah,
that's funny. Let me jump into problems and issues and constraints. Judith, you guys have set up a long time ago, 7 years ago. What sort of problems? I don't want to talk about problems 7 years ago or mistakes, but rather what kind of mistakes or misconceptions might someone new have coming into Poland today, given the situation here, and what can they do to mitigate that? What's the strategy if they're going to kind of come and set up a shared service center? What do? They need advisors. They do it themselves. Tell us some lessons learned.
Yeah, sorry, I have the sun coming out here on my window. We didn't find problems. I cannot say we found problems. The city of Wrocław was very supportive. Things were easy to really establish something from scratch. A lot of support, and we had grants, and we found the talent immediately. The important thing, and Simon, correct me if I'm wrong, because the market is so active and so hot. I mean, here in Wrocław is 1.6% unemployment, 1.6% unemployment. We were on the idea at the beginning, because of course it's the 3M brand, it's the 3M culture, we're hiring. We had all the people we wanted, we hired everybody, because I mean, it's an attractive company to work it, and we make it very attractive for employees. But we didn't realize how aggressive the market was. So we have to change a little bit our policies on promotions, on salary increases, on more benefits, to keep some people. I'm not saying we still have a much lower attrition than the market, but that was a little bit of an eye-opener. We thought it more like the US and how people stay in 3M forever and so on, and the market was more aggressive as what we expected. And then for our internal clients that are giving us services to do, at the beginning it was, well, we're going to give you only transactional. This is a low-cost location, and that's it, right? So we have to make sure that they understand that there is a lot of talent here, and it's not only transactional things that we can do that much more, which is what has happened in the years, right? But that initial conception of a low-cost location only.
And Shimon, what have you seen from your experience onboarding mostly Swiss companies, but also some Americans, in terms of what their misperceptions might have been and what they've experienced?
I have very similar experiences to what Judith said. So the misconception might be when you enter Poland, that Poland is full of talent and it's really easy, accessible. And in reality, you need to have a key to open this talent pool. So this means it's not so easy just to enter the Poland and just to navigate around Polish job market and create, the teams by yourself. So Poland is full of talent, and the people are less expensive than in US and in Switzerland, and they full of positive attitude, and they proactive. but you need to access this talent pool in specific way, and this is through a proper employee branding, knowing who to contact, how to do the recruitment. And that's why, you know, when you're deciding about moving some processes to Poland, or creating some teams, or even hiring some people from Poland, I think this is really important to keep in mind. So either to really invest heavily in employer branding, in having the right structure, local structure from the beginning, so really strong HR recruitment capabilities with the knowledge of Polish market, and a great leadership. And I think leadership is the key success factor here, or to really find a partner here in Poland, or recruitment agency, or maybe outsourcing company, who will guide you through the meanders of the Polish job market. And of course, having such a trusted partner, experimenting a bit on the Polish market, you can be really successful, and you can harvest those benefits.
Yeah, I want to also encourage or invite anyone who wants to say something or have a question to speak up. You know, Carol, I can see you, Jamie, or Piotr, or Angel. Please speak up if you have any questions. It's much more fun for everybody, really, more interesting if you would say something. So you're pleased to speak up. Let me say this, Judith, you talked about such a hot market. That also might be one of the silver linings. One of the things that we've seen, like in Krakow or other cities that have been very strong for 5 to 10 years in this sector, is that people have said, oh, it can't keep growing so quickly, but it keeps growing as quickly, if not more. And one of the things I've heard from companies coming in is it's because it's got to build up a great ecosystem. So if they want to hire a general manager, a site director in a new city that has no other SSEs, no competing SSEs, you don't have the competition, but you can't find the management. Whereas if you go into a Krakow or Wrocław, you can frankly poach someone from another market, another city, another company. Do you find that is something that you guys are getting poached from someone else? Is that, oh, you're poaching? How do you find that battle for talent?
Yeah, of course, especially on the IT, on the technology side. Of course, we lose people to other companies that are paying much more, and of course, we think we are competitive, and obviously we're showing with our very low attrition. But I mean, the IT market, some companies are paying a lot, right? So we are losing some people, but we always prefer to be here, even if the market is more aggressive, because again, there is a bigger pool of talent on operational leaders or this type of thing. So for us, I mean, we have to adapt, obviously, and adjust, but we prefer to be in a hot market than in a location, as you said, that maybe you don't find the talent. Talent is the number one criteria for us, clearly.
Let me ask you the kind of the elephant in the room question. War in Ukraine. Lots of Ukrainians in Poland. If you are a city or a big company in, let's say, Kansas, I think the middle of the US, hope no one's here from Kansas on this call, but let's say middle of Kansas, and you look at Poland, there's Ukraine quite next door. Maybe I won't put $30 million into that market. What do you see, Judith, from the perspective of 3M management, board level issues, risk? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, yeah, the first thing, we exited Russia completely. We couldn't be operating there anymore. And in Russia, we have 2 plants, and we have a subsidiary with 700 employees. In February, we stopped all operations. We continued to pay the employees, but last month we decided to exit completely. So, which, by the way, we were supporting with all the services from here to Russia. So that's the one thing. The second, for us here, and Simon, I'm sure you're seeing the same thing. The people here, they're like heroes. That's the only thing I can say. The employees here are heroes, because from the very first day, Wrocław is like 5 hours from the border of Ukraine. All the employees were doing convoys with their own cars on the weekend to go to the border and to bring refugees. Most of the employees here have had a refugee at home or a family at home. So really, that how the people reacted to this without bragging about that, without showing off about that. Wrocław, right? The other day I was talking to the mayor here. is a 1 million, more or less a million people city. 200,000 are refugees from Ukraine. And what they're doing to support the people, and we are hiring. We were expecting to maybe hire more Ukrainians, but most of the people that came is women with kids that are maybe not ready to work. But I mean, we have like 200 plus Ukrainians working here. Absolutely. But it's been, to me, hats off to the people of Poland on how they are reacted and how the solidarity that they are showing is goosebumps for me, what I have seen here, really. Mm-hmm.
True. And Shimon, your perspective on that question and the risk. And by the way, you are essentially on the other side of it, where you are helping companies who are not investing big money yet, that are simply hiring services step by step, not big commitments. Do you feel that companies are more likely to do that approach these days, or still planning to do big investments?
Yeah, so of course, the war changed the view of Europe, especially Eastern Europe. We did not see the big difference in demand or the attractiveness of our region. So of course, before Ukraine itself was a quite big market, also for some of the outsourcing, especially for German companies. The same for Russia and Belarus. What is happening right now is that quite a lot of business is moving away from Russia, especially from Belarus. And actually, this business is right now being moved to Poland. And just an interesting fact is that quite a lot of people from Belarus also are moving right now to Poland, because first of all, they don't want to be a part of the war and regime in Belarus. And also they want to continue making business, and there is quite a lot of also really advanced, skilled IT specialists. They all moving to Poland right now. First, not to support the regime, another just to work to support their clients and to continue supporting the clients all around the world. So from Polish perspective, we see more presence of US military, and there is even more NATO than it used to be. Poland is protected. We don't see the decline in the demand for Polish services. We see even increase in the demand, because some of the companies are moving away from Russia, moving away from Belarus, and they're investing more in Poland. So, yeah.
Judith, your thoughts?
Maybe, sorry, Tom, maybe it's a question for our friends in ATC, if they perceive Poland like a risk country, because obviously it's not at all. And we haven't seen, as Simon said, we haven't seen any decrease in demand or whatever, but I don't know the perception. I think, Tom, there is a hand up there, Tom McLeod.
Is there? Whoever's raising it, I can't see it, but speak up, whoever that is.
Yeah, Tom McLeod, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question that's kind of unrelated to the Ukraine and situation. We're a smaller startup that's looking to enter a country like Poland, to find like maybe one or two developers that are going to really help us accelerate our growth. It sounds like, it's a pretty hot market for talent. Do you have any advice for a smaller company that's not looking to kind of like spin up a big team to kind of, access this talent pool to help us accelerate our growth?
Shimon, that's probably for you, right?
Yes,
Simon, for you.
Tom, it's a pleasure to meet you, and it would be a pleasure to support you. But exactly, this is what I was talking about. So if you are big, it might be interesting to go to Poland and utilize the Polish job market by yourself. But if you are a startup, or you don't want to be exposed to the Polish job market in full, like 100 FTEs, and you just want 1, 2, or 3, there are companies like Itelence, which could guide you and find the talent here in Poland with affordable price, so that you can both have access to the talent here in Poland, and you can have a person within affordable price who can actually become part of your team and part of your agenda. And the way how we operate as Itelence is that we recruit people here in Poland for the companies in US or in Switzerland, so that they become part of our client's organization. So we do the branding here in Poland, of our company, Itelence, but we also make sure that there is this partnership relationship between us and the client, so that the clients feel that they have their own team here in Poland. And yeah, that's actually, this connection is extremely important. So my advice would be that if you have this need for 1-2 FTEs specialists, I would love to have a chat with you after this webinar, and of course guide you how we could support, or how what are the possibilities on the Polish market.
But Szymon,
find the talent for you.
Szymon, does that mean it's like you as a recruitment company, or you something other structure? How does that work?
So actually, we can also recruit people for our clients, but our major model is body leasing or staff leasing or managed service. So when somebody wants to employ a person here in Poland, or wants to use a person here in Poland, we can recruit this person, we can hire this person, we can onboard this person, and we can make sure that this person stays and works for a particular client under the SLI, which we agree. But again, they are employed here in Poland by us, but on the other hand, they feel part of our client's organization as well. So it's a little bit like having small shared service center in the field like and organizational like, but from the legal perspective, those guys are employed by us. So we are taking care of all the administrative.
You take care of everything. So Tom, you will have the service of a person that is your person, or your kind of your employees in what sense, but everything is done by the company, the local company. That should be the way to start. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. I guess kind of like a follow-up as well. When do you think the right time in terms of like team size? I'm sure this really varies by company to company, but when's the right time to start exploring having full-time employees, in a country, Poland or something like that? Like what have you seen be most successful, especially on like companies that are a little bit smaller engineering team? How do you set yourself up for success?
Can I jump up just to tee that question up for Szymon, because a little bit you might talk to what your current US client has done with you step by step, very slowly, but that might be an example that you might talk about.
Yeah, exactly. So we have several approaches based on the client's needs, and one is actually this step-by-step approach. So this means that you, even for the company, like a startup or even a large corporation, which does not know the outsourcing model or did not use the outsourcing model in the area of IT or accounting, or for a startup, when you did not have the experience of working with Poland, the great approach is just to test and try. So actually just hire one position here in Poland with the partner like ours, and test this cooperation. Is the work being performed? Are you being aligned in terms of the cultural fit? And are the competences of the people or the person here matches the competences which you would expect on your local market? And based on this experience, you can actually, this is almost risk-free, because you start with one person or two people. You just test it in very agile way, and after a few weeks or several months, when the cooperation works well, and actually the organization fits you, then you can actually move more positions, or you can explore Polish market more. But if you think that it's not a good fit, you can actually go back and close these cooperations. That's I would suggest this very agile approach of starting even with 1, 2, or 3 people, and this is exactly what we did for some of our clients. So
and let me ask
this US.
Let me jump in there, Szymon. And this Tom's question, maybe, let's say you get up to 5 or 10 people. At what point does someone like that say, look, we want to do our own thing now, our own branded company, or do they continue with something like that? How do you address that?
So I
would go ahead, Szymon, and I will give my opinion later.
Okay, so so of course that there might be different opinions about this, but I guess that if you have in mind a team in the future, there is a potential to have 70, 100 people here in Poland, it really makes sense to invest in your own operations. But if you're planning to have, or the potential, not even plan, because at the moment you just want to test and see how this goes and explore the opportunities. But if in future the potential is 10 or 20 people, or even 30, I think the competitive solution would be to have a partner, local partner, who is manage the teams for you, and it's just like it's really a partnership. It's not just an outsourcing model. It's like a partnership. So I think this is cheaper, because in order to be successful in Poland, you need really good HR, and you need you need head of the center or the leadership structure. And without this leadership structure, it's quite difficult to manage the teams here in Poland. And the leadership structure is actually expensive. So the cost per FTE should split between the teams. Of course,
Judith.
Yeah, Tom, and if I can give you my opinion, we started, of course, with a captive center from the beginning. We knew we were going to be big, but we started with 120, 150 people, I believe, in Poland. We are now 2,000, as I mentioned. But it also depends on what is your strategy for Poland, right? If you really want to grow to create a pool of talent there, because you're going to develop something, right? I don't know. So then you should consider maybe even with maybe 60 or some to have your own operation. But if you're not going to be a player in the Polish market, this is only a cost play, and it will never be a critical mass of what we're saying, right? Like 100 people, I would do it with a partner, absolutely. Absolutely. For us, from the beginning, we wanted that because we also have a presence in Poland in manufacturing, huge presence in Poland. So for us, it's the country where we have a critical mass, and we knew we were going to grow. But it started again with 100, more than 100, because less, I don't know if it will be very cost effective, and especially it would be complex, right, to start the whole operation and hire for a few people.
Any more follow-up questions? Carol seems to unmute herself, which is
yes, I did. In my previous job, I worked with shared services in Budapest and Malaysia. And,
which one in Budapest?
Baker Hughes.
Oh yeah, sure.
So one thing we saw, and it was a learning, I think, for a lot of the shared companies, was the talent mix in Budapest was a smaller portion of local talent and more imported talent. And I'm curious what that mix is like in Poland, and if you had that issue that Budapest saw during the pandemic of people going home, basically, and it left a huge attrition problem for a lot of the shared services companies.
Judith, that's probably for you.
Yes. So we saw, as we mentioned, and clearly it impacted our decision. We found more diverse talent in Poland than in Hungary. And Tom, you will maybe agree on that or not, but we saw a bigger breadth of talent here than in Hungary. I mentioned that we have all these people from Ukraine, which is clear. Many of them, they were here already, right? They were already working here before the war. We have other nationalities, but it's not much, really. It's mainly local Polish people. So again, no issue with the talent. We found everything we got. With the pandemic, we sent people to work from home, obviously, like everybody, and we are now back in the office. We saw attrition going up only in the IT side, on the technology, but more because of the market, because the technology became like, this is like there's no tomorrow and everybody has to hire the best IT people. But we didn't see a higher attrition for that, even though people were working from home and now we're coming back. Again, the a little bit more attrition we have is only because of the IT, not in the rest. No.
And one little
Okay.
point to throw in there, I was at the offices of Thompson Reuters last week in Gdańsk and touring their office and meeting the site director. And they said they have about 380 people. And I just casually asked how many of those are not Polish. And they said 132, which was shocking
Wow.
to me. I thought it'd be
Mhm.
20. So I'm surprised how big it is. So you do have pockets of Poland, which are particularly attractive. Gdańsk, very attractive place. Wrocław, beautiful. Krakow, extraordinary. Warsaw, big, dynamic city. So the different pockets, none of them in a way compared to the beauty of
Universities, right?
Budapest,
And,
but different
Yeah.
different assets.
yeah.
Carol, what else?
What other, I guess, competition are in Europe? What other cities are you seeing, besides in Poland or in Hungary? Are we seeing any shared service locations popping up?
Yeah, yeah.
Can
We see a little. Sorry, go Tom.
Please go, Judith.
Oh no, we are seeing the trend to go to even lower cost countries like Romania. We're seeing some more service centers starting that, so kind of an industry that is starting. Bulgaria too. So those are the two countries that we see in East Europe, but of course at a much smaller scale. But obviously, yeah, they're starting the industry.
And in Europe overall, I mean, I've seen Portugal pop up a couple of times. Lisbon
Yeah,
has gotten a few.
And Ireland, of course, Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland. I haven't heard that lately as much of one, but Portugal has come up a few times, some IT centers particularly. But I think places like Bulgaria, as you did, are going to be more because the languages aren't as broadly good there. But the IT services are very good in places like that. So I think they're particularly strong in that spot.
Yeah.
I think then you see places like Prague, I think getting very mature, very difficult to hire. But yeah, maybe you've got more specific question than that, Carol.
No, that was I had heard Portugal.
Languages is an issue, and again the breadth, as we say, IT is one thing, but then if you need talent in other areas, in HR, in finance, in sourcing, in tax, whatever. I don't know if Romania, Bulgaria will be there, right? And also the languages, depending on what do you need, right? The type of languages you need.
Judith, go ahead, Shimon.
No, yeah, just to advertise a little bit Poland. So first, and actually to be very specific in answering the question. So in Poland, there are several big cities with a really big population and also a really large talent pool. And among those is Wrocław, where 3M had a shared service center. There is Krakow, and there is Warsaw. And actually Warsaw right now in the recent few years is growing extremely fast in outsourcing and serving international clients. This is actually the biggest city in Poland. And also there are smaller locations like Gdańsk, Poznań.
Or goods, or yeah, those
so,
are, yeah.
Exactly. So you have quite a large number of medium-sized and also big cities here in Poland, which some of them are really mature, some of them are still growing. I think Poland is quite competitive recently against other countries in Eastern Europe. And there are different, when you compare different locations, there are different elements to consider. So Czech Republic and Hungary have really larger number of expats and foreigners working for the centers than Poland. And just to come back to the previous question, actually my observation is that in Poland it is between 10 to 20% of the staff is foreigners, and this is due to the languages. So like, Polish centers are serving 38 languages. So actually, in order sometimes to get the talented person speaking particular language, which is very exotic, you really need to import such a person. And Poland, comparing with Romania and Bulgaria, is also quite competitive recently. So before, a few years ago, Romania and Bulgaria were much cheaper. So they were cheaper. Right now, the salaries are a little bit starting to be balanced. So they start to be quite similar. And our experience is also that one of our clients is actually from Romania, where we support their operations with talent from Poland because of talent availability, because some of the technologies which they require are available here in Poland than in Romania. But of course, every location has their own advantages, and being Polish just makes me advertise Poland a little bit more.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you. So we got 7-8 minutes left. Let me just ask a question from the perspective of Judith. Looking at the U.S. market, there are so many U.S. companies who have set up shared service centers, operations in Poland or Central Europe, but there are a tremendous amount that have not yet done that. Why not? If you're a $100 million company in the U.S., $500 million company in the U.S., and you're doing all of your back office services, why have they not decided to do that? I'm not saying Poland, anywhere, India, somewhere else, but so many of them have not bitten that off. Why is that, and what would make them decide to do it?
I don't know. We didn't do it until 6 years ago, right? We didn't think that the service center model was for us. We thought we could do it ourselves, and then we started to do benchmarking, and we started to transform the company, and we realized that it was a big advantage, not only in cost, but in efficiency, in the way to transform processes and so on. So we decided to start and start big. Sometimes it's maybe the fear of what is done, loss of control of what we do outside, right? Or maybe a little bit of the fear of the unknown. Will they work with the same work ethics that we do in the US? Could be, I don't know. But for us, we took the decision. We never regretted. It was one of the best decisions we did as a company. It has given us so much value and talent that now is, because that's the other thing. Now the talent we have in Poland is starting to grow out of the service center and really going into other operations, and it's a source of young talent and young motivation and proactivity, and something that maybe in an old conservative company like 3M is really a joy to see these new people, this new blood coming in.
I got a question, or would like to add to that. You guys mentioned something about reservations or something that a reason as to why a company wouldn't want to do something. My question is to you, what would you say to somebody who, when they perceive outsourcing, they view, they're worried about if they take an outsourcing agency, they're adding another company into the decision-making process, right? So instead of taking an individual, they're taking a company. What would be the response to that?
Shimon, that's probably for you.
Okay, so actually, but as we discussed, there are advantages and challenges of various models. So of course, the companies are afraid of losing control over their operations when they move into outsourcing model. So the control, lack of also maybe some security reasons, and they feel that they will also not have the same culture as they would have having their own center or operations. But on the other hand, there are also challenges, especially if you are setting up small teams or smaller teams, or you don't know the particular market like Poland, and you want to do it alone at the beginning. So I think every time the decision whether to outsource or to move or to move your own agenda and make a captive center is based on first the appetite for the risk, the size, your future plans toward the center, and what you really want to do. My advice would be, if you want to test and just limit the risk really for the beginning, maybe to use the outsourcing model or partnership model. And then based on this experience, once you learn the Polish market and the advantages of working with Polish people, you can then explore and maybe move into captive model in the future. That would actually be quite great advantage and limiting the risk and
very
actually
expensive.
limiting, the investment.
Judith, your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I don't think it's worth it if you're going to be small and to keep small for the future. I don't think it's worth it. Not the investment, because it's not huge, but it's really the complications, right? On starting in a country that is far away and you don't know the market and you don't know how to hire and how the people will react. So it's good to start with a partner if you don't have the critical mass at the beginning. But then, as you say, try, and then if your plans are to expand and to really create a center and be a player in the market, then obviously I would say you go with your own team. But then you have your leader that reports to you, and then you have all the other services, HR, employee experience, and so on. But for that, you need a critical mass, clearly.
Okay, let me wrap it up. It's been a very good nearly hour, and I don't want to take anyone's time more than that. Tom Singer from ATC wanted to say a little bit. Let me just also say quickly to Rachel for so quickly agreeing to do this and putting it together so well. Thank you very much. Tom, your last words to you.
Well, again, thank you, Tom, for you and everybody who joined you to make this such an informative presentation for everybody. And thanks for everybody who came and attended. We would love to have you more involved with the Austin Technology Council. Coming up in just a little over a week is the CEO Summit. So make sure that your CEO, your CTO, your COO has signed up to attend the October 17th event. And then monthly, we try to bring you really informative webinars, ones like this and the series that we call ATC Unplugged. Our next one will be in November, where we're going to talk about how to maximize LinkedIn with Richard Bliss, who is one of the leading consultants on how to get your posts viewed. Let's face it, if you're using LinkedIn, you don't want to have like 100 people of your 5,000 followers see it in the stream. You want thousands of people to see it. And we're going to have a lot of good advice on that. You can find information about all of our events at austintechnologycouncil.org. And we look forward to seeing all of you at our next event. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank
Judith.
you,
Thanks,
Tom.
Simon.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
Everybody. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tom.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.